kind of sounds a little bit like a shitty motorbike. And the first job for the day I decided I was going to do was I was going to take the dropper post, this one right here, off the Orange Patriot 66 and throw it on to the Orange 5. Reason being is that a dropper post on this bike could really make a world of difference in terms of its ability to climb, whereas on the Patriot 66, if you're trying to climb on that anyway, unless you're training for the Olympics in sprinting or lung capacity, it's just a pointless exercise. So I thought it would be far more valuable on this, so I switched it over. Now, so then once I had it fitted, I decided, you know what would be a good idea is I'll head back down to the local trails and I'll take the 5, I'll do a run on it again, and then I'll go home and I'll get out the 66 and I'll take it out and we'll do a little bit of a head-to-head. Now, they're considerably different bikes, obviously. This is a 150mm front and rear, it's a 180mm, it's far beefier, but it has a kind of lot of similar philosophy when it comes to frame design. Now, I was riding down here, and you may have spotted this, I pulled over to put the seat post up just a touch, and I immediately regretted it because I have no tools on me, and as you can see here, the quick release is pointing backwards, and the reason for that, it's quite a cheap one. The cam profile, which is the curve there and how it basically creates tension, it's really bizarre in that it's really hard to shut it with your hand to the point whereby you feel you're going to snap it, but then ultimately the seat post is still loose. So the little washer that's in here is the issue, and I'm just going to get rid of that seat clamp in general because quick release seat clamps in this day and age are a bit of a joke. But I'm a little bit concerned that this is now pointing backwards, creating far less than 155mm of clearance, so that may be an issue, and I might try in vain probably to spin it around before we hit the trails. So after considerable sweating and a lot of cursing, I've managed to get it back turned around the right way. You can see just how mangled that little washer is that's supposed to be providing the kind of slip required, but it doesn't, which probably brings on to one of the shortcomings of this particular frame. So even though it's a trail enduro type frame, you think enduro, you think endurance, it does have a severe limitation, and that may be quite evident in that there is no bottle cage. There is a mounting point up here, which is, I would say, arguably one of the worst places to ever put a bottle cage, to the point whereby not only would I imagine it probably fouls on a whole heap of things plus getting on and off the saddle, but it would just look absolutely atrocious. So it's definitely a hydration pack type of bike, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's definitely something you need to be kind of mindful of when you're heading out for the day. You can't just grab a bottle and go. Right, let's hit the trails and let's see what it's made of now. Let's see how much of a difference the dropper post makes. And there's a lot of debris. Yeah. Fucking hell. This is the most amount of deadfall I've ever seen around here. Normally don't get anything. What a pain. It's making me wonder on faster sections what you might actually run into blind. Alright, let's take another shot of that. Hopefully it gets better. But I'm definitely wary what we could run into. They're definitely taking it really narrow through here for a number of reasons, which I will go into afterwards. So I'm sorry to say it, but this has largely been a bit of a bust. There's just so many sticks of the sort of size that could really do you some damage all over the trail. There's deadfall. There's just things waiting to just jam into your spokes and ruin your day. Prime example here, hang on. You can see all that debris that's placed right at the exit, so you would come around that and then face that. I do have my suspicions that some of this has been placed intentionally, which is understandable. They don't really want people riding here. But the other thing is, it's a pretty warm day, and it's the warmest part of the day, and there is a lot of snakes in this area. So I would really rather not run into one. I don't have a snake bandage on me. So I was just setting up the GoPro on that tree for this shot here, and I've run into an issue. And this is actually genuinely the biggest issue this bike is facing, and it's something that keeps slipping my mind. And it's this old race face crank, and you can see the giveaway is in the name, Ride XC. So this is an old triple, and you can see in here the mounting points for the granny ring. Now I'm obviously using the position where the middle ring would have sat, but what's happened, as you can see, is I've got chain suck. So it's stuck in between these mounting points and the bottom bracket shell. And that has left me with a chain that's totally jammed in there. Also in a pretty big sprocket at the back. So I could snap one of my two beloved mech extenders. So I need to find a way of getting that chain out. But I also need to find a way of stopping this from happening. And I don't know what to really do. I don't want to alter it permanently by means of grinding them down or something like that, but this is definitely a big risk. So answers on a postcard to the usual address. So while chain suck is absolutely shit, at least the setting is quite nice. It's nice and serene as well, so I can just, you know, kick and shout and scream and curse in peace and quiet and ruin everybody else's Saturday. So obviously when I was assessing its climbing proficiency, I dropped the fork travel down and I also set the shock to climb. You know, those are features of the bike, so it's totally valid. But now that we're out of that, we can set it back to luxury mode and get all the squishiness back. So I was going to do my score for the Orange 5 now, but I think that'll be slightly unfair to the Patriot and unfair to this, because we're going to go home and grab the Patriot and we're going down the exact same route. But obviously I know what's ahead of me now in terms of deadfall, the amount of sticks on the trail, etc. They're not mountain bike trails, so can't really blame anyone for that. But anyway, I'll do the scoring afterwards. So we'll go back, we'll get the Patriot, and we'll head back out. Let's go. So we've got the Patriot out and just doing this little intro to it while we're freewheeling downhill, because it suffered one of the more bizarre breakages I've ever encountered, and that is that half the jockey wheel from the chain device has snapped off. No idea where it is, but now it makes this noise. Not that noise, that's obviously a tow truck. This noise. So very strange. Kind of sounds a little bit like a shitty motorbike. You can hear it there. But yeah, annoying. It's probably got to be the best protected jockey wheel in Sydney. It's in behind two plates of armor, but here we are. Right, and here she is, the Orange Patriot 66. similar year, about 2007, but this one is largely bone stock as far as I'm aware. So first thoughts when I jumped on it, okay, obviously it's 180mm travel front and rear, so it is much bigger job to just pedal it along on the road. Even though I've got the seat post up and I've had to wrestle with yet another quick release seat post clamp today, which hasn't been fun, it is a lot of work to ride it. It's heavy, it bobs a lot, and generally just not designed for it. Now, you may have heard on the previous video, or you may not, a nice peculiar thing has happened. This MRP chain device in here, as you may see, it may not, it's broken half its jockey wheel off. So the chain is constantly engaging and disengaging the whole time. So it makes an incredible amount of noise and is no doubt going to break further. So that's definitely something that's going to have to be taken care of. No idea how it's happened, because as you can see, it's quite heavily protected. So I don't think it's taken a hit. I think it might just be a failure or a fatigue has set in. It is about a 2007. Other things that are very noticeable, obviously this runs SRAM, the Orange 5 runs Shimano. It's still nice and crisp. It is X9, so it's pretty high end even though it's old. And the biggest jump out is then the brakes. There is just so much bite off these Elixir oars, whereas I think the pads are pretty shot on the other one, and also like they're just D-oars and they're running much smaller rotors. This got a 203 up front and I think it's a 180 in the back, so much more substantial stopping power. So let's hit the trails and try and do a bit of a like for like comparison. So same deal, I'm going to take it pretty handy on account of knowing how much debris there is on the trail. This is a lot more proficient, but still there's a whole lot of stuff I don't want to get in the spokes, and I've already got something in the spokes. I'm already dragging half a tree with me. Let's get over this. Oh yeah, that's quite heavy. Onward. So as per previous sentiments on the 5, that's obviously a very short trail. It's a taster if nothing else, but it's obviously got a load of stuff all over it, really breaks up the flow. It's typically actually quite fast, but obviously currently that's not the case. Descending capability, this obviously just wipes the floor with the 5. However, it's a lot heavier, it's a lot harder to throw around, and it doesn't care much for any form of incline. In fact, it doesn't even really like the flat. It really only likes going downhill and doing it really quite fast. It's not what you would call an whoa. Whoa. We've got wildlife. What the hell is that? Oh, it's a lizard. That's okay. You might be able to see him over there. He's on that rock. He just went scurrying across here. Right, thoughts, feelings. A lot heavier, a lot beefier a bike, much more confidence inspiring when you're going downhill. Bigger brakes, bigger suspension, big tires, same width, but definitely more DH orientated. Just very sure-footed. Broken chain device, obviously, not sure how, but let's see how it handles this climb. I'm gonna take a stab and say not particularly well, and one of the key reasons for that, suspension weight, bulk, head angle aside, is that tiny downhill ratio cluster of a cassette, whereas we have actually quite a wide range on the Orange 5. So we'll get the camera set up and we'll give it a whirl. Someone's playing Flower of Scotland over there on the bagpipes, so if you can hear that, you can enjoy it. can't even get the momentum up. All right, we get down to the business end of proceedings. Scoring. So climbing, I would give the Orange 5 a 4 out of 5. It's pretty well behaved. It's not the lightest bike in the world, but it does get up what you need it to get up. It would be probably second only to my Yeti ASR, which in fairness to it has significantly less travel. So yeah, 4 out of 5 for climbing for the Orange 5. The Orange Patriot scores an extremely disrespectful 1 out of 5. It is atrocious at climbing, as you would expect from any downhill freeride bike. It has got too much travel, too much weight, too stodgy, too much bobbing, and the rider is just way too overweight and unfit. So yeah, 1 out of 5. So Orange 5 takes it in terms of climbing. Descending, the Orange 5, I would give it a 3 out of 5. I think it definitely could be better. There's definitely some things that I can do to make it better in terms of setup of the suspension, maybe a different fork. Definitely the rear shock needs work, new shock pump, etc. And the big thing then being the brakes. There just is not enough bite. So relatively minor thing in terms of the brakes, but I think it'll elevate it straight from a 3 to a 4. Descending on the Orange Patriot, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. It's what it's built for. It's an absolute tank. Point it at anything, it just gobbles it up.
What did he say?
Totally sure-footed, in part due to its weight. It doesn't twang off anything, it just absorbs the hits and you don't get thrown around, and you can just focus on what you're trying to be doing and where you're trying to be going. General trail manners, I would give the Orange 5 a 4 out of 5. It's a very solid all-rounder. It's very well behaved. You can chuck it over stuff, you can hook it a little bit, you can pretty much take it most places you want to go. So 4 out of 5 for it. Orange Patriot, trail manners, it's a 2.5. It has travel for days when going downhill, but that's exactly the thing that impedes you when you're going uphill. And to be honest, even on the flat, it doesn't care for that much at all either. So I would probably on balance give it, if it has to be a round number, I'm probably giving it a 2. And then in terms of overall usability, I'm going to give the Orange 5 a high 3. A high 3 overall. And I'm going to give the Patriot probably a 2.5. So overall, if I have to pick one bike to do it all, pretty unanimous, you know, of my jury panel of one person being me, I would take the Orange 5. I love this Patriot. I'd never get rid of it, but it is very much a one-trick pony, and a big pony at that. But it's a great bike, but it just is not a Swiss Army knife of bikes, and the Orange 5 is a little bit more that way inclined. So yeah, that's my take on it anyway. Let me know what you think, get in the comments, and let me know if you own either of these, or if you have, or if you've ridden them, and what you make of them. And I totally appreciate the trails they were taken down were extremely short, and over a full day's riding you could extrapolate that out to go, I've ridden this on a full day before, this Patriot, and my god, do you come back fitter for it, but you are absolutely destroyed. So I stand over my judgment. So hit the like, subscribe, get in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are. And yeah, this little impromptu test is a wrap for now.